So go ahead and start right now. So,
Okay,
hello.
hello
How are
there.
you,
Hello,
Adrian?
hello, Albeleo. Adrian Tepes is the channel, also known as Alucard's YouTube channel. Talk a lot about monsters, horror, Castlevania, and beyond when it comes to various themes. As of right now, I'm working on a series, Whatever Happened to the Game. It's a podcast, and there's going to be a spin-off to Whatever Happened to the Game with Whatever Happened to the Movies. I just recently set up, as of today, while we're recording this, I have set up the first episode for a later time to stream live. It should be fun because now it's going into films. I also have a series known as Castlevania Facts, a series of short videos talking about random facts about the Castlevania video game series. So it's been a little busy. How about you, Albeleo?
Yes. I've been doing good, buddy. Been working on whatever I can whenever I have time. Things are going to get very busy for me come January, so I actually have to rush through a lot. Don't have as much time as I want to have available.
I might be seeing you for the first episode of Whatever Happened to the Movies with Vampire Hunter D.
Yeah, I can't wait for that one.
So
okay, so Castlevania. We obviously you and I are both big fans. I've been working with you on your channel a little bit here and there whenever I have time. Yeah. And we've discussed this a little bit before on your channel. When and how did you get into Castlevania? I would assume, as you've said before.
I first started by playing Super Castlevania 4 on the SNES at my friend's house, and it was an older SNES at that time. I played a little bit more with Dracula X Chronicles when I was in college time. It was a way to pass the time, and it was a great thing because it's Sony PSP and it had save games. Super Castlevania 4 didn't quite have that, so it was a great way to save time because when you're in school, it's really important to make sure you get your studying done.
Right.
So having save points in a Castlevania game was pretty fun. It was after I graduated that I started trying out later games in the series, and that's where my regret comes in, because I actually restored and put together from getting all the parts of a Game Boy Advance to play Circle of the Moon and Aria of Sorrow. Not to be confused with Dawn of Sorrow, which is Nintendo DS. And I later, 2 years ago, well, it was it wasn't. It was more than 2 years ago, because it was 2021, and I got a new Nintendo DS to get the Nintendo DS games. And now I'm sitting here 3 years later realizing, I could have just gotten them for PC, but oh well, because they had the Dominus released.
Yeah, I don't know. I say that this week got away from me, but after getting the Dominus collection, like, one of the reasons I'm like a day behind is because I ground through Portrait of Ruin all the way through twice over. I beat it once and then beat it on hard mode at max 50. So it's just like, whoops, I needed that day.
No, that's fine, because even I have to stop to figure things out. And like I said, I regret not showing how I put the Game Boy Advance together, because it's nice to play it. It's like, that could have been something that got me a lot of audience, just showing how I put it together. But rest assured, it works, because I did a tease on how I needed to buy all the parts. So I showed all the parts. I just didn't show myself putting it together. So it's incomplete, but I got the parts together and it works. Other than that, the other crazy thing that happened was that in 2020, you got for mobile phones, you got Symphony of the Night being released for mobile phones. So I played that somewhat during that time as well.
Yeah, I did catch a couple, because I saw the HUD pop up with the buttons and the control pad.
Yeah. So.
Okay, so you and I are big fans of Castlevania, and a while ago I made the Castlevania Nocturne review, which a lot of people weren't happy about because I spoke truth. And this is where I believe this is where you found me. That video forever ago.
I believe that's it. I believe that's actually it.
Now, I know that obviously I am a bit more critical about a lot of things, which is fine. But I know that you weren't particularly a fan of it either. Now, season 2, or rather part 2, is on its way, and I've got some concerns.
Yes, I do too. And part of my thing actually goes back to the original Netflix Castlevania. If you've ever heard of the term jumping the gun, well, I feel that they really jumped the gun. And, they treated my boy Trevor unfairly back in the previous one, because they treated him like he's Homer Simpson. they treated him like he's Homer Simpson. Trevor is not Homer Simpson. The whole idea is that the Belmonts are fanatics, like Abraham Van Helsing in the Dracula movies, played by Peter Cushing.
Yeah, they're supposed to be professional badasses.
They're supposed to be religious fanatics. Well, and not in the bad sense, but they're held to a much higher standard than regular people are. Like, think Orthodox Judaism or Orthodox Christians, that kind of standard.
Yeah, the departure from the departure from the source material was obvious back then, and I get that the first season being just a glorified movie really was fine for what it tried, and then everything starts to fall apart as each season progresses. Well, specifically 3 and 4. I think 2 is.
I was disappointed. Okay. I was disappointed because they stole the kill of Dracula from Trevor. They let Alucard do it. It's like that's premature. Very premature.
I hate so much that season 2 falls apart so hard at the end, because it basically just turns into everything that everybody knows. So they just turned it into Symphony and cast aside 2 of the main characters from 3. I don't like that at all.
Well, it's tough for me because, you know, when I play the game, Shaft and Dracula mock Alucard. It's like, you didn't really beat me before. Trevor did that. Mm-hmm. But now you can't really mock him that way. And it gets more complicated because of how we can go into season 3 and 4. But it's just like, the reason why when you're playing, because obviously a totally different story, when you're playing Symphony of the Night, Shaft and Dracula mock Alucard because in the past he didn't really win against Dracula, so it's like, haha, you can't win because Trevor's not here to help you. But
yeah, not to mention they did my boy Grant so dirty by assuming they actually made him the priest with the 2 knives, and then they just offed him.
Yeah, so it got even. I think it's part of that is a trend that started with Castlevania Judgment, where he's basically a mummy, half Voldo from Soul Calibur knockoff.
Yeah, I was just as confused as you are. I don't know why they did it, but they tried to rush too much in too little of a time frame, and only had to stick to the main beats, and that's why I think the Netflix series ultimately suffers. It's too little, ironically, too simple a story that needed to be expanded upon.
Today, there's this rush, and people call it the J.J. Abrams effect. I've heard people call it the Korra effect. But I missed Avatar when it came out, Avatar: The Last Airbender. But in Avatar: The Last Airbender, they take their time in the original animated series, not the remake, because I haven't watched the Netflix remake yet. I'm not entirely interested in it.
Don't.
But in the original animated series, you've noticed how they spend an entire season in different parts of the world. They spend the time saying, okay, what is the Earth Kingdom? What is Ba Sing Se? What's the Great Wall? Or what's the Great Temple in the sky? Fine. Mm-hmm. They go through and they give you all these details about these various parts of the world, and they take their time doing it. And I liked that. And it seems now with so much writing, they just want to get ahead to an objective, but they don't try to stop and see the beautiful scene that you could see on the route from A to B.
Yeah, it's similar to the point that I made in the last Rings of Power video I did, where they took Gandalf's quote about, some people that live deserve death and vice versa. They took only the first 3 sentences of that full paragraph and butchered the rest of it, and because of that, it's lost all of its meaning, and without any of the context, it just comes off as a completely different idea. So it's like they did that with Castlevania. They have all of the big moments that they want to reach, and then had trouble figuring out how to get to those points.
Right, and because
there's no way storming the castle should have been an episode or an episode and a half of season 2. There's no way it should have been that short. The castle itself should have been a season.
Right. The way I feel about it is, and not only that, it's just Trevor's very different. At the beginning of Castlevania 3, and there's been a whole slew of theories as to what Trevor's doing. He's at the cemetery, and he's praying at a grave. What grave is he visiting in the cemetery? Is it his father's grave, mother's grave, Leon's grave? I don't know.
Oh, in the church at the beginning of Dracula's Curse?
Yeah, there's the grave. Whose grave is it? Like, what's your
Oh,
theory?
yeah, because he's at, what? Isn't it an altar? Because he's underneath a massive cross.
It's somebody's grave. I think my theory is that it's Leon's.
I don't remember.
That it's Leon's, even though that's a retroactive, that'd be a retroactive retcon. I mean, it's probably just his parents' grave for the Belmont.
Probably.
Yeah.
So, ultimately...
the way they do Trevor in Castlevania would only partially make sense if they assumed Sonia was canon. But the whole part about Sonia, getting knocked up by Alucard kind of goes against the devout nature of the Belmonts.
Mm-hmm. It also goes against Alucard's character, because he's very aristocratic and restrained.
I'm just saying, back in the 1400s, people didn't think the way about children born without marriage the way they do now. Today it's acceptable.
Oh, agreed.
But back in the 1500s, it would be something to be ashamed of.
Mm-hmm.
And I was happy that they did that somewhat accurately with Lords of Shadow, where Gabriel had to earn his respect growing up. Gabriel Belmont, because this is an alternate time, he had to earn some respect growing up and becoming a knight, because his father is widely believed. They don't know who his father was, but it's suspected it was that universe's Matthias Tronquist who was his actual father.
Okay.
But Gabriel, the prelude to the first Lords of Shadow is that Gabriel had to earn a lot of respect. He was adopted by the knights. He was an illegitimate child. The whole part is that if Trevor was an illegitimate child, he could probably have something that would be disgraceful, but I'm not sure if the writers even knew about that time frame. Because they have people talking like it's modern day America or Europe, and I'm just like, really?
lot of F-bombs, and I've never understood that.
I don't either. I mean, that's probably because you've seen Curse of Darkness, you've seen Lament of Innocence, and you've seen how they use the Old English when they're speaking in those. And when you hear something where the dialogue sounds different, it just sounds very different.
Exactly.
And this isn't even just Castlevania. It's Willow when they did the streaming series. It's like, really? They don't talk like. I mean, obviously Val Kilmer sounded American in the original Willow, but
sure,
most of the people in Willow were speaking Old English. Now, when they do the Disney streaming series, it sounds like they're living in modern day New York, California, when they're the way they're talking.
Yeah, it sounds like a really bad Renaissance fair.
Yeah.
So, obviously, Castlevania on Netflix, like just about every other video game adaptation, has not particularly stood the test of time. But then they decided to go ahead and try and tackle Richter with Nocturne. And of course, I hate this show. Nocturne is like the worst thing Castlevania has ever produced.
Right. They take the rush. They take a lot of the rush pacing that they got in the first one, and they magnify it a little bit. We need to get from point A to point E, so have them run into Juice out of nowhere.
Yeah, the fact that Juice is still alive at this point. We could go on for hours about how bad Nocturne is, but I think we should also just talk about how bad we think Nocturne's second half is going to be.
That's true. That's true. I worry that the season 2 here is going to be like the season 2 where they're going to burn out villains because they want to have that climactic victory, but they're going to be trying to grasp of what could be a villain now that they've killed off somebody.
Yeah,
I think Elizabeth will be disappointing in terms of if she goes down. If not, fine. But my anticipation hasn't been very high since the way season 2 the older series ended.
Well, Elizabeth's a place we can start because for you or anyone else who hasn't seen it or doesn't know about it, over on friend of the channel, Technically Mexicans channel, him and his buddies and I all sat down and we made a bingo card, basically just guessing what we thought would happen in Rings of Power. And we decided to up the scales just a little bit by making it not obvious. So like different things like obviously Elizabeth's gonna die, right? Like that's an easy thing to put. So one of the things that I was thinking for this one is who kills Elizabeth.
Right.
So I kind of want to make the bingo card just a little bit harder to see if maybe we can link brain cells with the writers and just hopefully it doesn't make us dumber in the process.
All right. I think I'll be looking forward more to seeing how our Switch 2 predictions fan out. But okay, I'll focus on this one.
Believe me, I don't want any of these to be right either. It's just
right.
I bet that they're going to do this.
My impression is that is it for Urzabet? I think they're gonna likely have Maria and or New Annette do it together somehow.
Yeah, we're on the same page. I was thinking it's going to be Maria. Like, I think Annette will definitely play a part, but I don't think that Maria is not. I don't think Annette's going to be the one that gets the kill. And I actually had some reasoning behind this. I don't know if you've thought about it just a little bit. For me, I was thinking that, well, first, almost all the side characters have taken precedent, right? Like, Annette's basically been shoved to the forefront as like the big bad of the group. She even ended up leading the charge into the town when Maria was captured. But Maria also kind of sidelines Richter in his own story, at least until Annette shows up. Like, he's obviously important because he's got the vampire killer whip, which isn't the Morning Star.
They don't quite treat it like that, though. That's the thing. It's the legendary vampire killer whip or something of that sort.
Yeah, it's not the Morning Star. I don't know. I don't know what happened. I don't know why he doesn't have the chain whip.
Well, let's see. From what I recall, in the later series, that's where Trevor got the new Morning Star, but he doesn't have it now, I guess.
I'm pretty sure they didn't do it because of budgetary reasons, because that was something I mentioned, was how the animations are just awful this season.
Yeah, I mean, it's rushed. Like, I can tell that it's rushed. Like, there are certain parts where things are positioned wrong or things, and to me that sounds like what happened was they rushed it. They didn't necessarily edit it as thoroughly as they would have. They wouldn't necessarily have taken a good enough look at the details, and so errors likely happened. Because my suspicion is that the strike, there was some kind of writer's strike, we had the actor strike, and I'm wondering how much those strike, either or one or both of them, affected the production.
Yeah, and I do wonder how much that had an effect in Korea, because most of the animations, almost all of the animations across everything Netflix has done have been outsourced to Korea now.
Right.
And so I'm curious if like if there was a backlog effect that happened here that caused issues over there.
It is, because I mean, the animation just looks like they had some kind of rush. They couldn't edit it as much, and then they started having errors. I'm not saying the older one had errors, but it seems a little bit more frequent this time.
So Maria and Urzabet, one of those two will kill. Maria and Annette will kill Urzabet. I kind of figured that the way the trailer shows, it makes it seem like Alucard and Richter are going to be the ones to take her on, but I don't see them doing that necessarily.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing here is that Richter's whole beef is with Ulrox, and I'm having this Vampire Hunter D thing. He kills Ulrox, like that feels too much like a derivative of Meyer Link.
On
because
Ulrox.
I mean,
it's
an argument of like, but even then it seems like a bad point, because the whole argument between Meyer Link and Vampire Hunter D is like, why do you care so much about these people? You're gonna have the urge to kill them eventually. But then Ulrox, I don't know, he has flings with people, so it's like
yeah, he's just clapping Templar cheek on the side. Like, bro, what's happening?
I mean, at least Meyer had this whole thing where he's actually, the amazing part about Vampire Hunter Bloodlust is that Meyer Link was also not very well accepted by vampires for like humans. That was an interesting twist.
Not to mention how hard, like he proves himself to Charlotte. Thank you, because not only does he risk getting a really bad suntan to save her on the bridge, but he also resists feeding on her the entire time.
He also takes the biggest headache in history too.
Oh yeah. So I have a big concern with Ulrox because of the favoritism that has been shown to him. If Ulrox does return, because I assume he's going to, I don't think Ulrox is going to die. In fact, I think Richter is going to forgive him, because they've already tried. I despise what they did with Ulrox. I don't know why they didn't just keep him as a simple vampire wizard, but because he's gay, and this is a stupid thing, but it happens consistently in media nowadays. Because he's a gay character, he's basically going to be untouched. We already saw this with him and Richter the first time they fought, right? Because he cannot touch him at all. Like, Richter's way too slow. Even with the whip, it does nothing.
There still could be a degree of fighting, but then they just said, forget it, we're done. Let's just go our ways.
Basically, I'm thinking that Ulrox, because Ulrox obviously hates Urzabet. I'm thinking he's going to be a part of the final fight, and Richter's going to have some big, like, I get what you meant about some nonsense reason that shouldn't have ever been brought up in the show, and then he's going to forgive Ulrox and let him either go or give him a head start, like that John Carpenter Vampires movie.
That ought to be a watch party movie at some point. John Carpenter had some interesting ideas. But
so,
yeah, I mean, I think either what you said, or he'll slip away, or the other one is that he goes out on his own call. Like, not someone else killing him. He just chooses to just go out on his term, his call.
Oh, you think he'll still die?
I think, like, you know how they created this bad knockoff of bad enemy knockoff vampire named Lenore? She ended herself with the sun.
Oh, yeah.
I can see him either going away and disappearing, or maybe he does something similar to himself, where he just, realizes, oh, I've done so wrong, I'll just let myself be destroyed.
They're going to do something. Either way, I believe Netflix will have written him into something dignified. I cannot wrap my head around any legitimate reasoning, since they went as ham as they did with the first half.
Even that, they even with the original series, they dodged a lot of the stuff that would actually be really dark. Think about it, like the Forge Masters, like Hector and Isaac. They were designated for Dracula to have backup bodies in case he died. That was their whole point.
Mm-hmm.
So he could have an extra life. That was it. It doesn't matter how much Isaac felt like, oh, Dracula's like my father because my real father's dead. No, his whole point was to use you to bring himself back to life. And prolong his life. That's it. That was that was the really horror part. That was the horrific part about Dracula. That's really disturbing about Curse of Darkness, and it's probably why Curse of Darkness is, besides how violent it gets in the cutscenes, why it's rated out.
Well, then they obviously weren't going to go that route either, because after you see Dracula die and he gets staked by Alucard, you're just like, well, I guess everything about Isaac getting his ass kicked by Hector just means nothing now, because we're obviously not going that direction, since Isaac was saved and he is now his own character. Right. It's
Isaac,
infuriating.
And there were some good parts about Isaac, I think, when you're told that the succubus, like, sit your ass down. And that was in the Curse of Darkness manga.
Oh, okay.
He told her to sit down and shut up. Now, of course, that was the closest thing to what happened with Lenore and Hector, but with the succubus, Isaac just told her to sit down, not in time. Which worked in a way, because it was foreshadowing to what would happen with Isaac and how he and Hector were essentially backups or heirs for Dracula.
So, speaking of sluts, Edouard,
that goes against what the previous Netflix Castlevania even was. I'm not even going to go into what it is for video games. I mean, the big plot twist for season 3 when the Netflix Isaac was talking to the innocent devils is that they were never human. So why do they want to be like human? But here it's like, well, they were previously human. No, they contradicted their own work.
Yeah, I recently happened to catch, I don't know why it was advertised on YouTube, but I just happened to catch like the sit down between Isaac and the fly demon, and I just about shit a brick because I forgot how god awful that entire section was about how we need to embrace sin, and I remember who I was and everything else, and I'm like, no, stop. This is not Castlevania at all.
Right.
It's just make him a demon. Stop it. We don't need to humanize evil. I forgot. Right. I forget how. I tend to forget myself how many details in seasons 3 and 4 were just terrible.
Right. I mean, but here in Nocturne, they're saying that this demon is a dwarf. No, it's not. The demon, well, if they went by the logic of the previous series, they were never human in the first place, which is why Isaac got the surprise. So, and the thing about devil forging is that's essentially making you into Dracula bit by bit. The art in itself is evil.
Yeah, and for him to not only have retained basically who he was, and then to keep singing, and obviously they had to give him his damn hair for some reason. I don't know why they did this. Because of how he's basically been set up, obviously he's going to be a part of the fights. He's going to help turn the other night creatures against Elizabeth. It'll help to even the odds, and what I'm concerned about is that, or not concerned, sorry. What I'm wondering is what's going to happen to Edouard over time. What I think is going to happen is that Edouard is actually going to return to human form as a sort of reward for what's happened. I don't know if it necessarily does. For all I know, he'll probably stay as a monster, which I think is fine too, frankly, because he's probably going to do something more akin to like, Mewtwo Strikes Back, where he like leads the clones, in this case the night creatures, off to go and like start their own little town or some shit. Right. But that's what I was thinking, is that Edouard will be coming back as a human.
Yeah, I see it's possible. And that's the other thing too, is that you didn't have Devil Forging after Curse of Darkness, because the games are a completely different story. And the PS2 are a big jump up from having walls of text on screen, although I didn't mind reading those either.
Yeah, it was very old-timey.
Right. You had to destroy Devil Forging, because if Hector kept doing it, he'd become the new Dracula, no matter what he did. So that is the end of Curse of Darkness. And that's why you don't see Devil Forge Masters after that, because Hector had to stop doing it, or else he would be Dracula's next reincarnation. And in a way, that was a great way Igarashi and the team made a tribute to the Hammer Dracula movie starring Christopher Lee. Mm-hmm. Because one of the recurring themes in the Christopher Lee Dracula movies or Hammer horror films is that, because of the evil in our world, Dracula can come back.
Yes. Because it's mentioned numerous times. It's like when the belief of man like turns to sin, like when we fall too far away from God, evil rises and Dracula comes back. That's
Dracula
a significant part.
More. That's the end of it.
Yeah, exactly. But that goes back to the very anti-Christian view of the series. Like, fucking cross. I hate that damn cross explanation so much.
Well, especially when you play Symphony of the Night, Alucard can pick up the cross and shine a bright light that burns everything around him. That's not just the shape. That's like actual magic going on.
Yeah, it's because he believes. He's actually Christian. I'm gonna blow my lid if I even think about
going back to
any more of this shit.
Even going back to the whole thing, like the whole Sonya, people having a kid without marriage, which is the whole idea that Legends does at the end. Mm-hmm. That wouldn't be good for a Belmont, at least Belmont standards.
Yeah, I'm sure they would have taken in. I'm sure they would have taken in the bastard anyway. But still, it's like.
But that would be more like Gabriel, though, where Gabriel was raised a knight because his father didn't want him.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think Edouard is going to return to human form as a sort of reward, because Annette can never do anything wrong, and even when she does wrong, she'll be coddled and all of her mistakes will be forgiven, as it were.
Right.
What do you think?
Yeah, I just see it as something of that sort. Something that either way, the resolution is quick. I mean, I remember back when I was watching Legend of Korra, and that first season alone disappointed me. It's like, because I was almost thinking, okay, everyone lost their bending. There's going to be some quest to get it back. But no, Aang just reincarnates and gives them all their bending back. It's like, what? And I just feel it's something similar to that, where you'll ask for it and you'll get it back. It's my really real fear ever since season 1 of Korra ended.
Yeah, a lot of Deus Ex Machina happening, because it's like they went in a direction and then realized, crap, we need this to continue. Let's about face very quickly.
Yeah, so I just get the feeling something will happen that will either he becomes human, or something that looks like human. I don't know.
Now, considering that he will probably get his human form back, I think to balance this, they are not going to bring Dracula back at all.
Yeah, possibly not. Unless, and I'm saying unless, they're trying to reach for a season 3 and 4. In which case, almost anything will be fair game for them to try to bring back something, because if they killed off Erzsébet, what did they have to replace it? It'll be like Palpatine coming back. It's just like, oh, well, we don't have a villain. We killed Snoke, so we'll just bring Palpatine back.
I love how that line became such a meme. It's like, somehow Palpatine has returned. It's like, you couldn't even figure out a good reason, like, not to make that such a mockery of a line. So, because the last time we see Dracula, he's with Lisa, and they just found an inn which I found really odd that Dracula just like walks in, pale hand, 7-foot special. The person at the end is just like, oh yeah, cool, yeah, you can take the upstairs room. No one thought otherwise about this gigantic vampire.
I just don't know what that means, because like, does that mean they're just normal people that live normal lives, die, or what? The other thing, they missed out is the whole point is Castlevania is the name of the castle. It's because the castle is like a chaos space vessel from Warhammer 40,000. It goes to hell and back.
Exactly. Yeah, and instead they just made it a giant building. Like, yeah, cool, great guys, thanks. But,
I mean, the whole idea is that it's like from Warhammer 40,000, where like chaos and their forces can come back due to a belief in chaos. That's why the Imperium has to eliminate the cultists.
Yeah. So, and on top of all that, since Lisa came back too, are we supposed to assume that she's dead?
Yeah. Well, that's not even the beginning. It's because you can see in Symphony of the Night comics that Lisa has piercings on her body. She's not burned. You see Dracula taking her back to the castle and burying her. So, and from what you see in Alucard's dream, it looks like she's being crucified, not burned. So it's funny because that the whole Vlad the Impaler thing is Dracula trying to make people die like Lisa died, so he's putting stakes through their bodies and leaving them up for display.
Whoa, my friend. We can't be talking smart and using details that actually add to the quality of the story. We're talking Netflix.
Oh yeah, shut up, nerd. That's that one.
God, I fucking hate Netflix. So let's see, what else do I have left? Well, actually, speaking of dead characters, there are two that I think will die for sure. And the first one, which I think is who?
Maria's father, Abbott.
Oh yeah, Abbott absolutely. I think is gonna bite the big one here. Whether or not he betrays Urzabet, I'm not entirely sure, because he looks like he seems to have completely lost his mind, even with Maria's life on the line.
The question is, are they gonna give him a Theoden death, or where I'll try to eat him and Maria gets the glory like Eowyn of stopping Urzabet from ripping him apart, or is it just going to be tossed and she finds out he's dead later?
Yeah, I don't know if they're going to give him that much, considering how much hate this series has, again, for Christian themes and ultimately characters. I can't not see Abbott surviving at all in any even remotely glorified way. I do not see him when the question came down and Urzabet basically had Maria and was about to like end everything. Tara is the one who stepped forward. Abbott froze.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even think they're going to give him a redemption arc of sorts.
I think that the part that kind of disappointed me is how he's a. But then again, this wasn't even in France when Rondo of Blood happened. This is in Transylvania, and Shaft was secretly worshiping the devil and summoning Dracula back.
Yeah, this is the whole setting is completely different. I mean, Urzabet's not supposed to be here. She's supposed to be in 16 or 18, whenever Bloodlines takes place.
17, and one of the most epic lines is that when you kill her as either Eric or as
John
or John Morris, John and John. Why do you keep naming his son Jonathan the first?
I don't know.
Anyways, John or Eric, when you kill her, it says it doesn't matter. Dracula will avenge me.
Yeah,
and she's a difficult boss fight of her own, given how she makes like copies of herself all over the room. It's like, which one am I supposed to fear or whip?
I don't think that anything with Abbott is going to help in this way when it comes to Urzabet. I think if he does die, it's going to be like a brush off kind of death,
off screen or something, right?
I don't know about off screen.
Wadded aside like a gnat. Maybe
you know what might actually be fitting is they'll probably do maybe you're right they'll do something off screen, sort of like the demon did to the priest in season
the original 1. You're right, first opening episode.
Is it the opening episode?
Yeah,
I thought it was like the last one when the demons all get into the church and he says, let me kiss you, and then he just starts eating him.
Oh, I was thinking where the demon says, if your God was here, your God isn't with you, and demon gets some, but
oh yeah, I gotcha. So that's actually there's actually 3 characters. Abbott's just one of them. The next character I think will die for certain as a way to possibly redeem himself, considering what Richter basically proved, is Just.
Yeah, the old man, more or less.
I think Just is going to die fighting probably a bigger character like Urzabet. I think that's what's going to happen. I'm not exactly sure how he'll die. I do think he will for sure. However, I don't think, due to the immediacy of how the situation is currently set up, because they're all in the town, and I don't imagine that Just is going to run all the way back to, you know, some like cabin, like another cabin in the woods or something that he's got, and find like the Morning Star and then bring that to Richter to give him for use of combat. I don't imagine that's going to happen. So what I'm wondering, he'll probably come in, learn how to use his magic, and then from there, he'll probably do something big and special, but he'll ultimately die.
Yeah. And what was the third one you were thinking of?
Well, do you have any thoughts on Just? Did you hear anything?
Yeah, he was going to die. He's old, and he's got the Jake Skywalker attitude as of now. So yeah,
basically.
And I even called him Jake Belmont as well.
So the third character I think is going to die is going to be Tara. Well, and I think that's because she doesn't want to be a vampire.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, so to summarize these three, I think Abbott's going to die very much like the priest from season 1. I think Just is going to die in a blaze of glory because he'll be the character that might get a semi, Jake Skywalker kind of redemption death.
Right.
And then I think Tara, because Tara has Urzabet's blood in her now, I think she's going to be a critical part of defeating Urzabet.
Well, yeah, possibly by eliminating her. And who do you think is going to... I mean, if it's elimination, then it's probably going to be Alucard or someone doing a favor for Maria.
You think Alucard's going to kill Tara?
Mercy killing, yeah. Why not?
Ooh, maybe. There's actually a whole nother secondary part here that I hate that I came up with this because it might actually be true. If Tara does not die, and this is an addendum to what I thought was going to happen initially. If Tara does not die, then either she or Alucard, if she does, will go off with Ulrox.
I don't know. They might kill him too. I mean, I don't think they're even going to try and go by this bloodline or by bloodlines at this point. Who knows?
I'm not entirely sure, but I think it's stupid enough that it might work.
It's confusing because they imply, like, with the exposition Alucard gives showing up at the last minute, he implies that he's been operating like Blade, where he goes around killing vampires actively. So that's just totally off from what I understand as well.
That was my reading as well, yes. But it doesn't mean that he wouldn't change depending on like the value of the character for the story, A
lot of it's just not entirely clear. I'll just say Alucard if you're talking about the Netflix character.
Okay, so a lot of what else I have left, at least on my end for what I came up with, is more minor details, but things that I still think will occur in the series. I think Maria is going to rage summon the Drake.
Yeah, why not? I'm pretty sure it's going to happen. They've got to show the powers, but there's not really going to be anything to earn. It's a rush.
Well, I think that just like
I'm freaked out enough that they start Maria out at 17 at the very beginning when she's I guess they're doing it because they don't want to show 12-year-olds and R-rated stuff. But then again, there's Laura and Logan, so who knows?
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's not like it couldn't happen, especially with the nature of anime in general,
I'm just saying Logan was, live action film, and how old was Laura? She was like 12 or 13, I think, in Logan.
Yeah, she's young. 14 or 15, something like that. But I do think the turtle is going to be skipped over, unfortunately, because it's just like Grant. I don't think
of stoicism. That is why they do not show the turtle, because of a lack of stoicism.
Yeah, probably. So to continue the point, I think the Drake will be summoned, possibly because of the death of Tara. It seems the most fitting that they would do so, because there's no other side character that Maria has a particular fondness for. She has absolute hatred for Abbott. Makes sense. Yeah. And with Tara, I can't imagine her not blowing her lid because of this. Yeah. So I think that's what's going to happen with the Drake.
Yeah, Maria in this one definitely has a temper. But that's how they write characters a lot of the time nowadays. They don't put in much consequence for just not controlling your rage. It used to be a thing, in older films like Karate Kid or Star Wars, where it's just like, yeah, if you don't control your rage, it puts you at a disadvantage.
Yeah, and all that went out the window. Embrace your anger. be evil. Next one is actually kind of like a twofer, really, because I think this will tie into it. I think that the church is going to be destroyed, and I think in particular Maria's rage summon of the Drake will lead to the church being burnt down.
Yeah, possibly. I see it as possible, and it might just have to happen because there's vampires in it, so you need to destroy it with the vampires in it. Why not?
Yeah, because the only other one I could think of is some sort of like portal collapse, because Annette, tosses the demon machine in through the portal, and it like collapses the whole church. But in some way, the church, I think, is going to be destroyed. I don't know if Annette will be able to move the machine since she got interrupted.
Right, but I think you can. I mean, if the script is like, well, she can metal bend, she can metal bend.
Yeah, since they turned her into Toph on steroids.
And not even that, it's like, okay, so now crosses can magically burn vampires again? Like, really? Just because they're there? And then they don't, but then they do have magic, because Annette's former Haitian master is burned too. So which one is it? Which one is it?
Yeah, I'm impressed by how back and forth everything goes, because it all just comes off as not even just inconsistent, but there's such a massive lack of communication behind the scenes. Like
there's gotta be at some point.
Yeah, because they screwed up the night creatures. They screwed up the cross.
I mean, I'm questioning at this point if some of the people who wrote this even saw any of the previous series, like just with the night creatures.
I highly doubt it.
I mean, it's just doubtful because, like, I mean, the whole point of like season 3, a good chunk of season 3 was that these guys are never human, but they want to be. That was like where all the shock that they wrote in for Isaac was. But now they're basically the same as people who died. So it's like an inferior version of the way vampires are actually just demons that inhabit the body from Buffy. Well, I guess, yeah, it's somewhat of a theme. I mean, even in Castlevania, it's true to an extent because it's more than just a vampire. It's the evil soul within. It's how explain that Dracula comes back to life, because his soul's still around. But it's at a point, because the devil summoning, like I said before, they didn't show this in the Netflix series, but it's really dark when you get to the plot in Curse of Darkness, because the whole point of devil forging is to turn these people into replacements for Dracula himself. That was their whole point, because it's appealing to the type of body gruesome reincarnation that Dracula did when you talked about the movies when he was played by Christopher Lee. He just reincarnated himself inside a person's body. That person is effectively dead, and now it's Dracula walking around. That was the horror of Curse of Darkness right there.
And all that got thrown out the window.
Right.
Oh, this was an interesting one that my brother came up with, and I want to hear your thoughts on this.
Okay.
So, because we don't actually know specifically what whip Richter wields right now, you and I assume it's the vampire killer, but we know it probably isn't. He considered the idea that because Tara has the blood of Erzsébet, she will sacrifice herself in a way like basically to transform the vampire killer into a new version of the Morningstar, akin to Sarah.
It's possible, but my disappointment comes when it doesn't feel like I don't think any of these people are aware of that plot point in Lament of Innocence. I just have a lot of doubt about that. It could, I mean, it could happen where they reenact what happens in Lament of Innocence, and it'd be great because, they robbed Trevor in previous series of killing Dracula. That would be at least a little bit less offensive than what I was expecting.
Yeah, definitely. It would walk away from Maria being the one that gets the final blow. I don't know how they're going to do it in such a short amount of time, because there's an immediacy to what's happening in the setting, because they can't jump too far past this last season. They can't be a 1 year gap, They have to turn around and basically get back into the fight.
And the problem is the writers are in a rush nowadays. They want to get to that point B, but without realizing that you can take a journey to that point B over the course of multiple episodes. It'll be fine. People enjoy that. You just need to figure out what kind of plot points you're going to fill point A to point B.
So I think it was actually a pretty cool idea, and I think it's too big-brained for Netflix. That's why I don't think it may necessarily happen. The show is kind of setting up towards something of that nature, or at least the possibility of it, given Terra becoming a vampire, being really strong, having Urzabet's blood, etc., etc. So
I mean, it would be something that doesn't stray as much from it, and I think we might need a few more minutes another day. I'm kind of running short on time now, but thank you.
All good. I thank you for coming. That just about covered everything, actually, at least on my end. In the meantime, yeah, thanks for coming, buddy. This has been great.
Thanks. You have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
And I'll let everyone know when it happens.
Thanks for coming, everybody. Anybody who wants to check out Adrian's channel, be my guest, Adrian Fahrenheit Tepes, here on YouTube. He's all Castlevania and a bunch of other things, Halo and everything else that we've talked about so far. Thank you for coming, and have a good night.
All right, so today's episode is a follow-up to an earlier video, which I have a link to this video in the description for this live stream. Albeleo hosted the previous one. I'm hosting this one. We're going to take a look at what we said about what we thought would happen in Castlevania Nocturne Season 2 and what actually happened. So welcome, Albeleo. And
hello. How are you guys? How you doing?
So here we are. And like I said, previous one. So Fate, which one do you want to go through first on this list here?
Oh, out of this selection, let's start with the plot overall.
Yeah.
Give a basis for what the hell happened.
Okay. So obviously they did the as it was at the time, it was a Deus Ex Machina, Return of Alucard or Alucard. I'm just trying to distinguish here. Like I always say a name slightly different to say, okay, this is a different character because it is. So I like say as a buffer as for if I'm talking about the character from Curse of Darkness as one example. So I'll say Alucard because that's just the show version of him, at least anyways.
Yeah. So the simple plot for everybody is in part 2, because it's part 2, not season 2. I'll argue this all day. It takes place literally like 2 minutes after the first part ends.
Right.
And everybody just turns off the eclipse. It's just like, turns out Drolta's power is entirely temporary for some unknown reason, because how are we supposed to have a show when we've forced such a chaotic end? And then out of nowhere, we have to travel all the way into the heart of Paris to go and get the body of Sekhmet. And then
you have a scavenger hunt.
Yeah. I after they get the body, after they get the body, Sekhmet turns into Lion-O 2.0. What's her nuts? Annette. Annette goes Super Saiyan. They beat the vampires, and then it kind of ends. And people are somehow actually considering this to be genuinely very good, and I cannot wrap my head around it.
Oh, I feel like it rushed and it missed things out. Like people don't seem to be like worried about like supernatural creatures that you're meeting them. Like I don't know. Like, when we're going to the French Revolution, which the original Castlevania games have nothing to do with the French Revolution except bloodlines, because you see a ghost who's impersonating Marie Antoinette, but they don't. That's like it isn't until bloodlines that you have anything to do with France or all over Western Europe, to be honest, in the game Bloodlines. But I just think that the sides involved in the French Revolution would have a problem believing that supernatural creatures exist.
I've
pondered that over. And deism isn't like total atheism, but it's at the very least it's downplaying the role of God in the universe. It's hard to explain.
I have a whole section written out on the religion aspect alone. I couldn't believe how much I packed into that. I'm still trying to cut it all down because there's everything about this season. So to like a twofold response here, both to Juan's statement and my point here. Just about everything, with the exception of maybe the animation, is genuinely worse in this second half of the series.
It is worse when you try to make sense of it and you try to think about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The so I almost don't want to go through it. I hate this so I genuinely actually hate this series. Like
right.
I'm stunned as to how bad this is.
I mean, all I'm going to say right here is just like the original series, you get a totally new game, a totally new story if you play the games. That's what I'm going to say. That's my favorite part about it. Like the original series does not spoil the plot twist in Curse of Darkness. And I'm biased enough to say that the plot twist in Castlevania Curse of Darkness when you play that game is up there with BioShock. That's what I'm willing to argue. And here,
go ahead.
No, and here it's not really spoiling what you get in Bloodlines. It's really doing its own thing, or Rondo, or Symphony. But
yeah, everything is so absolutely terrible. So like as we go along and discuss things, we'll kind of touch on the bingo that we didn't get. Actually, I would not consider any of what we got.
I think you're right on at least one thing, though. Well, it's not exactly, but you came close. Like what would happen with Edouard? Like they didn't mind that he was a monster now. Like, and that was close to what you said. He would rejoin. It wasn't exactly, but there was like no problem with the fact that he's back as a demon, and they accepted him. They didn't really care. Like, what the hell?
Yeah, and there was also certain, and there were some things that I did absolutely nail on the head, like what happened to the church. I called that one from a mile away.
Well, and
others I was
Abbott,
completely wrong on too.
I think you're right about Abbott. He would get slaughtered. Well, of course he did.
Well, yeah, but they didn't give him a redemption of any kind. But I was also wrong on things like Just. I thought Just was going to sacrifice himself to redeem his past sin, but that didn't happen.
Yeah, you thought that, and that was my fear. I fear they would do the Jake Skywalker thing. They didn't, but I mean, it's all. But
so since we're on the characters, why don't we start with said characters? Just start at the top with Twinker. I absolutely hate what they did here. They tried to see. I hate that this second half tried to it's almost like somebody at Netflix watched my review. It's weird because they tried to throw in a bunch of different elements like, oh look, Richter gets blamed for being a blowhard and a show off, like when Alucard calls him out in the forest. And I thought, that's an interesting detail. It's too bad that's not at all what he did.
Well, he was cautious. He was being cautious, and I don't know, like, why? What are they doing to Richter?
Yeah, so Richter basically does not grow one iota in this second half. He just kind of exists. He's there to drive the plot.
To show it, you have to think about what it would take for a character to grow. And I'm thinking of The Bronze Bow. It's a novel from Elizabeth George Spear, and you have the main character called Daniel. Now, this is set back in the time of Jesus Christ, and Daniel is willing to go and be a rebel against the Romans, and he suffers all these losses. But these losses that he suffered make him think that maybe he wasn't entirely correct on who his allegiance was with. Like, he probably wasn't correct being with the Zealots. He probably wasn't right just going out there and there was also the slave who got taken to get crucified by the Romans, and he realizes, that guy served me, he was loyal to me, and now he's dead. But all these losses and all these times where things didn't go as Daniel wanted them to, were how he started to reconsider what he was doing.
Mm-hmm. And because it's funny how I don't want to jump to her right off the bat because I do want to stay on Richter, but it's so entwined with his character. Annette is the only one that goes through any extraordinary change in a positive manner, and in order to do this, they kept Richter as a completely flat, useless guy who's only there to be a powerhouse.
Right.
Which, the reason why, and I probably should add this to the script, the reason why I don't believe at all that they couldn't have given any of these characters any proper growth is because there's it's an obscure reference, but there's an episode of Love, Death, and Robots. It's this discount Starship Troopers on a farm episode. Right. It is 17 minutes long, and they managed to fit in an entire character arc and redemption in that episode. That one 17-minute episode, which is less than any one episode of this series. And they managed to pull that off. And yet in part 2, Richter remains kind of cowardly, a little, very, very seldom does he actually ever bloviate about anything. And he basically just continues to get yelled at for screwing things up, like when Alucard gets pissed off with him, right? Annette is the one who does a complete 180 on her character. And none of it makes any sense.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, Brother Chaos. That's how it works. I mean, growing up hurts. Puberty hurts, etc. Growing pains.
Have you considered manga? That I just added this to my script too. I was jotting down notes for this one. If anyone has seen it in chat, please let me know. I just got done finishing an anime on Netflix called Dan to Dan. I don't know if you've seen it. Basically, to super simplify it, there's a boy named she calls Okarun. He believes in UFOs, aliens, but not ghosts. Right. And Ayase, his love interest, believes in ghosts, but not aliens. And then obviously they both learn that both exist. and it's this really goofy thing where they have to go and find his balls because the aliens and the ghosts want his junk, and they literally take them.
What?
It's actually kind of funny the way it's all played out, because they're turned into like gems, and they have to like go and find them, and they give other people powers.
Is this
It's
Happy
actually
Tree
kind of funny.
Friends?
No, it's like actually funny. But I bring this up because the relationship between these two characters that forms in 12 episodes is infinitely better than the entirety of Castlevania Nocturne's supposed relationship between Richter and Annette.
Oh, come on. Avatar: The Last Airbender. And I don't mean the remake. I don't mean the live action movie. I mean the actual Nickelodeon television show has more character progression. Like Prince Zuko is my favorite one out of the whole thing, because he had the, you were shown to him why he would feel fed up with his kingdom or his father, Lord Ozai, because they're treating him like garbage the whole time. And you could see why he would eventually turn, and they take their time with it. It's in the last season where Zuko decides, yeah, I'll join the other side.
Oh yeah. And they're trying to give Annette that whole they're because I know they turned Annette into Toph and Katara. I really missed tossing in the extra mixture of Zuko, because the massive redemption they try to put her through with the complete 180 in her character does not work, because there's no time to shift her character, because I remember in part 1, when she's like, oh, you're back, and then upstairs she sits down with him and she's like, I'm not angry, I was just more concerned than I should have been. And it's like, no, fuck you. It's just everything about you pisses me off.
Yeah, they rushed in Annette's change of mind pretty quick, especially about Richter.
Yeah, and now they're lovey-dovey and happy, and they're butting up against each other. There's that shot where they're walking,
Right.
2 or 3, where they're walking towards the camera in the woods because they're trying to get back to Alucard, and the animation style completely changes. Like it's emulating what they've done for Nocturne, but it's not the same. And I can't help but feel that shots like that were added to try and reinforce the idea that they're supposed to love each other, and they didn't feel that there was enough. So because this was supposed to come out in October, right? Am I wrong?
Yeah. Well, yes, it was, but they delayed it.
It's a long delay, dude.
We don't even know it's one delay. It could have been more than one, because rewrites take a while. Reanimating takes a while too. I have no idea. And that got the Invincible Amber treatment.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I mean, let's see. Amber in the Amazon series, they rush over what happens to her quite a bit of the time. But and that's what I feel overall will be the biggest flaw with Invincible and Amazon, is that they will rush the story to the end. I mean, it was like a decade long for Invincible, as the comic series ran for over 10 years. And now with seasons, I don't think they're going to want to do 10 seasons to tell the whole story. No way.
Oh yeah, not that I want to bury the lead from Castlevania, but season 3 of Invincible is a train wreck. There are so many flaws and inconsistencies, and now we're gonna rush through the entire Invincible war inside of episode 7. The whole thing. Like how?
I mean, they already have so season 2 was pretty far along, because there was Alan, and he ran into Nolan and say, let's break out of here. And from what I hear in season 3, they're trying to break Battle Beast out already too.
Yeah, and he just goes cartwheeling through space, punching the Viltrumite in the face.
But yeah, I'll get back.
and they're supposed to do they're supposed to introduce Conquest in episode 8. It's like we are blowing through entire arcs inside of an hour. Like this is ridiculous.
Yeah, but
So,
getting back to
yeah.
Nocturne, yeah, they brought Jolta back as a night creature, but that goes with what happened in season 1, where they obviously brought Edward back, but he's still himself. Like I said before in our interview, that's just going against what the first Netflix Castlevania series did. It's an internal inconsistency because the innocent devils were, or at least, well, summoned demons in the series were supposed to be their own thing, not a previous person. It's supposed to be a new soul put into a demon in the Netflix series for the first Castlevania, but now they obviously did their own little scavenger hunt to get something to bring Jolta back. At best, that's a nod to the fact that you have to find like the relics to bring Dracula back in Simon's Quest, Symphony of the Night, and Harmony of Dissonance. That's the other one.
Yeah, but, I take serious issue with what they pulled off with Sekhmet because it's just extraordinary blasphemy for me. Like I can't believe it's not that I can't believe that they did it. It's that they so brazenly do not care. Actually, I I have a little bit of homework for anybody. If they can help me find this, I have been looking. Supposedly, according to my brother's girlfriend, she mentioned that there was an interview with the people behind Nocturne in particular, and they said supposedly that they used Nocturne to tell their own they used Castlevania to tell their own story because they couldn't actually get anybody to agree to making what this anime was supposed to have originally been. If anybody can find that, that would be great. I have seen so many episodes. I've seen so many interviews with Warren Ellis and the other guy at this point, the one that stayed.
Adi Shankar, yeah.
Yeah, thank you. He's a fucking loon, quite frankly. But I cannot find this. So if anybody happens to find it, I would appreciate it. I do want to throw that into the review.
All right, yeah. So Braymore, I'm sorry about that. Braymore, yeah. Like they don't seem to have the werewolves, minotaurs, and Medusa heads from the previous series. That's another thing that I noticed quite a bit of. I mean, I guess they'd probably have to get a new model because the animation style is different, but it was a disappointment of mine as well.
Yeah, it's kind of wild. It tells you, and I still haven't found the number because I haven't really gone looking for this one in particular. I argued that Nocturne was extraordinarily cheap, and I did not believe that they put a big budget behind this. The extraordinarily lazy designs for so many of these night creatures tells me that they did not only did they not really care at all about Castlevania's source material at all when they got to this, but the fact that they didn't use anywhere near as many creatures as they should have. Like, Castlevania's bestiary is longer than, I think, the entirety of the Pokemon list at this point? Like,
yeah, it is. And that's not even including
these creatures.
That's not even including that within a game, there's multiple variations on the same kind. Like, for instance, in Curse of Darkness, there's 3 different kinds of flying demons, or 5, depending on the kind of element they are.
Yeah. The various demons from Order of Ecclesia is a great example of that. God, I love that game.
Oh, so Braymore, thanks. Those are all the directors we're gonna hunt for, and take a look at.
Clive Bradley. Okay, I'll like I said, I will keep looking, and if anybody happens to find it, please share it with me and comment it in YouTube or find me on Twitter. I don't care. I am trying to find this because if it does, it's the stake to the heart, thankfully, of all of these other stupid arguments people keep making. So since we dragged on with all this
the sun.
So Annette is terrible. I hate her. I hate that she becomes a Super Saiyan out of nowhere. Which is so funny because they give her a video game mechanic.
Oh, yeah. Well, not only that, but they brought back Drolta. I mean, isn't it supposed to be boring that you bring the same villain back again the next season to kill him again?
Yeah, you know that. Oh. This is one of the things that I did find in my research, and my brother found this first. I should to be fair, he found it, and then he explained this. I was absolutely correct. She is a deviant art model that the people behind this show took special pride in creating and forced into Nocturne, despite her costume and everything else making no sense. She was the personal favorite of Shakar or whatever, and that's why she's in it, and that's why she's the focus. So yeah,
Okay.
my brother found that one right away, and I was absolutely correct. Gosh, it's so weird.
So yeah, I mean, it was Alucard tossing Richter the sword so he could split her in half. But I mean, teamwork, I guess, for a TV show. But
Isn't that just the most? I've made this point before when I was talking about modern writers in general. Like forever ago, I did that video about writers today being children, about how we always, at this point, we're just recycling content that we've already seen and made because no one's actually lived any experiences. And I don't remember who it was. Somebody, maybe it was Juan, that made mention of a Dark Souls reference. And that was the Moonlit Sword. Which I absolutely agree. That's what the sword turned into. Until Richter does the bullshit Trunks Super Saiyan God Rage blue plot sword of defeating the villain crap and splits Drolta in half with it. It's a 2-in-1 reference, and I nearly flipped my house. Like I couldn't believe it.
I mean, I felt this
so
season.
Angry.
Yeah, I felt this season had less of Richter doing his Castlevania things than the previous one did. Like, I mean, I just wondered why can't he just make it rain on her or something?
Yeah, don't you like how he basically just forgets he has a whip because they're like, hey, let's have Richter throw hands with Drolta. It's like he's dead. Why would you do this?
Yeah,
it's just recycling the Adrian and Dracula fight from the first season. That's all it is.
Yeah, it was season 2 where he did that, where it was Alucard versus Dracula. But the thing I like about the games is you can get more savage. It doesn't matter what you use because you're giving Dracula death by 1,000 cuts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So the other thing, about their weakness, like you want to have vampires from around the world, like you can watch Dusk Till Dawn or Blade, Juan. Like those all do it pretty well, including Blade 2, where they have the new the sun suits.
Yeah. So Drolta comes back, which is funny because they left her behind. So, like, we're supposed to believe that a bunch of vampires decided to run back in the middle of the sun and grab her body and then bring it back. God, who else? What else did they screw up? So,
Drolta was Hungarian, but they changed that for the series for their DeviantArt fetish.
Yeah, exactly.
It was Hungarian because the Elizabeth Bartley in this one was also Hungarian, but it feels like the people at Netflix don't know their different East European ethnicities.
Well, white is white as far as they're concerned, and white means black at Netflix, so whatever. So let's see. Richter sucks, and that's terrible. Drolta is just nothing but plot convenience. She shouldn't even exist as far as I'm concerned. Oh yeah, Urzabet. Good old Urzabet. The big bad, the ultimate villain.
Well, they repeated the last series. They killed her in season 2. Again.
Yep. Yeah. That was interesting. Hey, Do you want to see Erzsébet become 2/3 god and become an almost unstoppable force in the middle of France? Well, we have the show for you. Watch her step forward, kill about 5 people, and maybe not even 5 people. She kills like 2. She eats a cannonball to the face, brushes that off, kills like 2 people, and then the heroes proceed to bum rush the shit out of her, and she does nothing. It's so funny.
Oh yeah, the more I think of it, it's kind of true. It was minor monsters that got whipped, and even then, most of the time was fireballs or swords. Come on, give them a reputation.
No, maybe. Okay,
It
hold on.
It wasn't big villains. It was minor monsters.
Are we gonna count Blue Fang as the main guy from season 1 or no? The demon that kills the bishop in the church in
okay, so that's one. He wasn't a regular grunt. He at least said something, unlike the other demons. So sure.
He was the big like
he was a mini boss.
Yeah, okay. That's fair. So like if we're talking like Dracula and Drolta, then no. But if we're talking like mini boss, then he's the only one that was killed with the whip. And not even the vampire killer. It was just a whip. They didn't, because for some reason, again, and I think this goes to my point of it being extraordinarily cheap, they didn't animate the Morning Star. It's gone.
Yeah, it's back to a normal whip again. Like, how is it? How is it not? Because we saw that Trevor used the Morning Star in the previous series.
Yeah, just like go kick in somebody's door and whip a couple candelabra, dude. Like, let's do this. Come on, I want to see my Morning Star.
Yeah. So wow, yeah. It's not just that, Shadow. I mean, I used to use Tumblr as a way to say that I had videos when I had a previous account on YouTube, but if I did, I would be watching a lot of those Hammer Dracula films starring Christopher Lee before I got started. That and 1992 Dracula with Gary Oldman, that one.
Great movie.
Yeah, we'll probably watch it at a future time.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry.
No.
On the point of Hammer films, real quick. Supposedly, and this is according to Mr. H reviews, I just happened to catch this the other day. Supposedly, Hammer films are actually coming back. They're going to start making movies again. And the first one they're doing is a Lovecraftian horror movie.
Okay.
So if anybody knows Hammer films and is a fan, look out for that in the next couple years.
All right. Are they going to do it? Is it going to be with Amazon, or are they actually? Do you think they'll actually do it with a major distributor?
That I do not know. I only know that the movie is supposedly going to happen and Hammer is returning. Beyond that, I don't know anything else.
I know that that Amazon does have some things, like they own James Bond now. I'm not sure what to say.
Right. I can't imagine that's going to go well.
Well, I mean, the thing that happened was Bezos on his Twitter decided, hey, I'll do a poll as to what they want, who they want to ask about being James Bond next.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the most I know. Oh, 1792. Yeah. I mean, game-wise, that maybe the violence and all the people that got killed in the revolution helped bring Dracula back to life. But it was in Romania, or actually Wallachia, at the time in 1792.
So that immediately defaulted to French Revolution after hearing Rondo took place in 1792. Oh, okay. I hate that they tried to tie in the French Revolution in this way, because it makes sense if they wanted to use the that would have actually made a decent enough amount of sense to use the massacres of the French Revolution to fuel Dracula's resurrection. But they cast Dracula aside and completely neutered him, so it will never happen. And then they just ended up with, Robespierre. And so if you know anything at all about French Revolution history, for some reason they turned one of the biggest monsters of the revolution into a hero.
Well, yeah,
Because
he ultimately
he's killing everybody.
He's ordering their deaths, right?
Dude, that was the day I almost went bald.
I mean, he's as leader of the Jacobins. He seems someone who would have a problem actually believing that supernatural monsters were real. That's all I'm saying.
It's interesting how they because the older time periods in Castlevania, it's like the Castlevania world is sort of like Buffy. It's like people know there's shit that goes bump in the night, but they don't necessarily deal with it. Like everything's so well contained to Wallachia that very few people know about what's going on.
Right.
And so when you get to France, this is the thing that drove me nuts even in the first one. This is something I didn't talk about in my review, and I should have, because there's a number of things I screwed up in that first review. I hate how that entire town where Drolta and Erzbet are stationed in they're just totally okay with all these vampires everywhere. I hate it. I hate it so much. Because everyone's just totally okay. They're on her side. And then when you get to France, there's still vampires killing everybody. It's like, how widespread are vampires in this world? Like, this is crazy.
Well, and that's on top of, showing the condition. There was supposed to be a massive grain shortage, which helped drive the rage for the revolution. It didn't look like there was a shortage.
Yeah, everyone looks totally fine, happy, healthy, all of it. And it's just there's no effort behind getting anything remotely close to what they need it to be.
If you want something, Juan, that's set in the French Revolution and does an okay job with the characters, that's what Assassin's Creed Unity does. It even takes little licenses to how events happened, like how Robespierre got the broken jaw.
Isn't it crazy? We have to constantly look to other greatly historically inaccurate, though I would say fairly accurate stories where Castlevania couldn't get anything accurate from the games, at all.
Okay, Juan has a little follow-up here. Dracula's decapitated when he was like dust. Yeah, he dried up from being impaled. Trevor cut it off with the sword. Death got
after Adrian did all the work.
Yeah. Yeah, so it just leaves me wondering, they wasted a villain. They wasted what was they put as their main villain with Miss Trollhair as the villain. She's gone now.
Wrong.
So now she's gone.
Isn't it stupid that out of all four of these main villains, the Belmonts have only killed two of them?
Oh, right.
They killed Dracula and they killed Drolta, and Drolta just pops up at the end. They didn't kill Bathory, and they sure as hell didn't kill Dracula.
Yeah. And now we have at best, it's a reference to Shaft with Coyote. I don't know. I don't know if that even.
I hate all of the videos online that are like, what does this mean for the Castlevania universe? And I have never wanted to just actively troll a channel into shutting itself down, but every time I see any of these, I hate it. No, he is not the devil. He's not even close. Stop trying to compare Mephistopheles to Satan. He's not Satan. That wasn't even true in the Faustian legend. Why the hell are you doing it here?
What? Uh, I'm losing. I can't make sense of that. What else is there? So yeah, people had no problem seeing Ed. You know, the Edward went with people who were fine with the fact that he was a monster, and everyone was fine with jumping in with the military for vampires. Sorry.
Yeah, it's all stupid, man. I know. Like the yeah, it is
no, it's
funny
the
how
definition of Deus Ex Machina right there.
Oh yeah. And speaking of Edward on the boat going back to Haiti, where he's apparently going to be welcomed with open arms, which is a weird thing to say. It's like, oh, you'll be welcomed with open arms there. We're all freaks. And it's like, did you just call an entire nation of black slaves freaks? Like, what a weird line to give Annette at the end there. But it's really stupid how she forgot she can heal.
Oh, right.
Like, did everyone else did
she did in season 1, but
yeah. She grabs the sleeve and she stitches Maria's arm back together. But with this, now she has to rub aloe on his skin because he's got all the burns. And it's like, that's neat. Heal him. It's just, stop letting him exist in such pain on your way back. Come on, like, ugh.
Oh, that was another thing that goes back to what we were talking about. What would happen to Tara? And by the way, Tara was only Maria's mom in the Netflix. Nowhere else. She knew her dad growing up.
Was I wrong about Tara?
I mean, they probably want to have a season 3, so they want to have somebody to go after. But this is a case of they just showing you blatantly without any subtlety they want to have some villains still left for another season.
Yeah.
Even Richter tells Ulrox, like, the only one who has any right to kill you is me. Well, good luck with that.
Yeah, called that one a mile away too. Oh, look, he not only does he joins the fight, which I wish you were right on. He ends up getting to clap Mizrak for eternity now because apparently Mizrak decided not to redeem himself and became a vampire because he was dying. And of course, the pissed off Richter, who's 110% done with this crap, spares Ulrox. Even smiles just a little bit.
Well, he says, "I'll kill you, just not today."
Yeah, but he smiles.
Right.
And I hate it. This is probably the biggest problem I have with this kind of like favoritism and writing stories nowadays, because you know exactly who's going to live, how, and probably why. God, I hate it.
Even more funny is what they did in some of these Disney Plus TV shows for Marvel, where they inadvertently make the guy you're supposed to hate sympathetic, which is the opposite. So there was in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which I finally bothered watching on a family member's thing. They have this guy called John Walker, and John Walker literally walks in. He explains that Bucky's fine. Don't arrest him. I asked him to help me in an emergency, so he's excused from this one for not making his therapy session. But then again, if he needs mental counseling, why would they let him be around doing stuff? Don't ask me whatsoever. Then the other part is where John Walker, since he became Captain America with a shield, he takes a terrorist guy, slams him to the ground, then beats him with a shield till he's dead. That same guy had grabbed him so that his buddies could execute him with knives, and John Walker's companion, which people talked about the revenge part, because his buddy Lamar came in and said, like, don't kill my friend. So one of the guy's buddies punches Lamar so hard into a wall that he's dead. Lamar tries to see if, John tries to see if Lamar's okay. But he turns out he's dead. But then he chases the one guy at the end of the line, the guy who grabbed him so he could get stabbed, and that's where he beats him to death with his shield. And before that, the guy throws a huge concrete trash can at him, and he stops it so that the people behind him don't get fragged, which would happen if he jumped out of the way. I mean, you're talking about a 75-pound concrete trash can. Getting hit by that. Someone threw it at you. So he stopped that. And at the end, I don't find him much worse than Steve as Captain America. And they're trying to tell me he's not that great.
Yeah, the fact that these guys nowadays do not know how to write a villain to be evil and a hero how to be good speaks volumes of how morally bankrupt and corrupt the Hollywood ecosystem is at large, which is nuts to me.
Well, I mean,
go ahead.
I think, a villain can be relatable to the sense that they took something that is an issue, that is a flaw for any of us, too far. I mean, Matthias in Lament of Innocence, he took his whole pride way too far. But for a lot of people, they could probably stop their pride at a certain point before it goes too far, or to the extent that it went for Matthias becoming Dracula. And I feel that is the genuine, relatable element of a villain that you sometimes come across. Which is that they have the same issue as us, but they just aren't stopped they don't turn around when they're going on the wrong way.
Yeah, if the villain is written in a way like he had a bad day kind of thing and devolves, like Joker is the immediate example. There's another one that it's not Rampage. It's like Bad Day or something. Michael Douglas is the guy.
Falling Down.
Thank you. Falling Down. Yes. So Falling Down is a great example of like a dude that you watch devolve and you don't want him to do that, right? Because you're rooting for him the whole time. You want him to turn his life around. That makes sense because it's a really shitty day, and they took a basic concept and then extrapolated it in such a reasonable manner. That makes sense. Like that's where it's like, okay, you're a good guy and you've been devolving and I want you to come back. Makes sense. And that works. And that's why that's relatable. Not every villain has to be relatable. I'm like, I hate that people keep saying, oh, well, Disney villains were one note and that makes them bad. And it's like, no, like, it's fine to have a character grow. Growth is good, but growth does not mean that the character has to go on an entire arc throughout the whole series. Goku, I use this example all the time. Goku is a flat positive character. He doesn't really grow a whole lot. It takes him from like Android 8's death against the Red Ribbon Army as a kid, all the way until he finally lays into Frieza at the end after giving him power on Namek, that he finally is willing to kill somebody. And even then he fails to do so. Right? Like you're talking like in universe, like 20 years for him to grow as a character. That's fine if a character is flat and affects the world around them, which is why I'm not too perturbed at Richter being who he is as just a flat positive that affects the world around him, but he doesn't do it in a beneficial way. He's still mocked. He's still blamed. He's still trodden upon because he doesn't matter to the overall story. He's only there because he's a Belmont. Otherwise, they would never have Richter in the series. You know that they wouldn't. It would always be about Annette. And right. So all of the other characters going through their change, the few that do, Maria, who goes nuts, and Annette, they're the two that change the most. And I don't know what the fuck they were thinking with Tara. I don't know what they were thinking with Tara. She just disappears halfway through the series, basically.
Yeah. Yeah. But she was also the same person who said she killed her own sister, so whatever. I mean, I think one of the big cool things about most of these Castlevania games is your main character kills someone who's close to them, and some of them do it more than once, just because they see them as a rabid animal, like a old yeller with rabies, and they've got to just do what needs to be done to protect other people. And in a way, like whether it's Lament of Innocence or Nocturne of Recollection, the radio drama, it's just like that's the kind of sacrifice it's meaningful. It's difficult to make.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So on that point, let's just dive into Tara real quick.
Yeah.
What the hell? Turning into a vampire does not automatically make you a bloodthirsty psychopath who revels in the death of innocence. Like, did I take crazy pills? Like, why is Tara standing there when they're beheading all of the people in France, and she's just gleeful? Why?
Well, a lot of them, because you kind of see it's rare, and I know Castlevania 64 doesn't really work in canon anymore. At least what Iga wanted for canon anymore. But
yeah,
you see someone who's been turned a vampire in Castlevania 64, and initially they're just completely nuts. At least when they've just turned.
Yeah, the woman in the cavern, right? The mine.
Yes. She just goes right for it. She doesn't even say a thing. Now, Gilles de Rais, he does tell you things, but he's been that way for a while. I mean, I don't know when in Castlevania 64 he got brought back by Dracula, but he was killed in the 15th century for finding all those dead bodies of children in his basement.
Mm-hmm.
That's Gilles de Rais for you, the first known recorded serial killer in history with dead children in the basement. So, but yeah.
And well, another example too that counteracts the vampires are monstrous, lunatics like that it's Rose. Like Rose in Castlevania 64 proves that not all vampires are like this,
But even she has to. Even she admits she has to die. So that was sort of her saying, "Just let me go."
Yeah, exactly. And what was Carrie's sister, right? Carrie's sister is a vampire in 64.
Yeah, Carrie Fernandez.
Yeah. Her sister is the one that you have to fight in place of. I think it's the Behemoth fight.
Right.
In the Coliseum.
Right. So and there's also, and if you do get Legacy of Darkness, there's Cornell, and Cornell is a werewolf, and it's like, why'd you let Dracula take your curse? But for Cornell, it's like, I can't live with this anymore, and I know it sucks, but either I got rid of this curse or I was going to die. So what was I supposed to do?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the idea that Tara goes completely insane, and I get that she's dealing with the bloodlust, but you would think after she got the blood from the one drunk dude in the forest, which was oddly convenient, of course, you would think that she would have, calmed her tits, but she didn't do that. She just went more nuts. I don't know what to do with myself. I'm gonna run away, and then she just flees and disappears into the woods.
Yeah,
in the middle of the day.
Juan, you're talking about the radio drama called Nocturne of Recollection. That's in France, but that's after Symphony of the Night in 1798. So it's not. And that's the one
Yeah,
where
yeah.
Dracula's old butler asks Alucard to kill him, so Alucard just goes ahead, skewers him, and cuts off his head.
Yeah, because that's where Maria is trying to convince Richter, Alucard, to be with her, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he doesn't leave her by the end, but the big thing is that he also, while not letting Maria know he was a vampire, told Maria that Alucard's real name was Adrian.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes so later on when you're in Grimoire of Souls and Alucard hears Maria just say, "Your name's Alucard," he's sad because he knows that that's not Maria as he knew her later on, because she would know his real name if she were.
Yes. And yes, Brian, you are absolutely correct. Meyer would be a fantastic example. See, but Nocturne Part 2 tries to propose this unnecessary moral dilemma, right? Where can vampires love? Which is absolutely retarded. There's no reason to add this. And quite frankly, it's more fuel for what I was talking about with that supposed interview that exists where these people didn't have anything to do with Castlevania. Because we already know in this world, from the first part of this series, they can love. There's no reason that in Castlevania that question would ever come up. Like, none. And they force it in. So, because Tara wants to be Maria's mother, even though she's now a vampire, and everyone's acting like it's not possible for them to do that because she'll eventually feed on Maria, which also doesn't make sense because there's other people she could feed on. Like, it's just,
yeah.
Like, the proposition of this question is asinine, and you can really tell that out of the 8 episodes that this second half turned out to be, it's like the entire middle 4 or 5 episodes are completely useless. They do not serve any real major point. They just try to fill it in because, like, hey, we have 8 episodes. How do we stretch this story out? Because otherwise, it would have just been the fight. Like, you could just take the final fight from this second half and put it in the last episode or 2 of the first part, and Nocturne would have been done. That's it.
And not just that, Braymore, it's just there are people such as, there's nothing that goes as far as Netflix goes, but in Nocturne Recollection, Alucard feels like Maria's threatened, so he gets enraged, like, I'm going to kill this guy because I don't want Maria getting hurt. Protective feeling, anyways. As far as comic books, yeah, Blade eventually got his relationship, and he has a daughter now, but I don't know. I haven't read the story enough, but I hope that that Blade had some kind of struggle about that to overcome. I think he would, but I don't know. I need to get updated.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, the continuity does not exist in Castlevania, Bran. The night creatures can just retain souls now when that was not a thing. Vampires are or are not able to love, even though literally Dracula. You have Dracula, you have Lenore, for God's sake. Even that, light connection between her and Hector, like, that existed, and they threw that all out because, again, it's all artificial. Nothing about what they did in Nocturne Part 2 makes any sense. It's by far the worst individual season of Castlevania on Netflix, by far.
Yeah. So, Braymore, yes, we didn't see mummies. The most you ever saw of a mummy was really brief, and he got splattered. So, and that was the first Castlevania too. And this case would make more sense because they're going to a museum exhibit with Egyptian relics. So where are the mummies?
Yeah, no. These are fantastic observations. But we're not going to see any of the creatures too, because the other issue is that this is not, as the conclusionary, or the conclusion I've got written mostly here is that this is not Castlevania, because we're not in the demon castle. We're just out doing adventures in the real world at this point, and there are no demons. There are no, like, there's nothing Castlevania about this story. It's in it. It uses the name. But nothing else. There's no floating heads. There's no dancing ghosts. There's no there's
well, the castle. They don't try to make the castle be alive in and of itself, which,
already wrong. Yes.
I mean, so initially it's just implied. So when you're playing the original one as Simon Belmont, things get weird. You have all these weird death traps. In Simon's Quest, you start having weird things like the castle rearranged a bit. Okay, Castlevania 3. And of course, in the first two, you see the castle collapse when Dracula is supposedly dead. But then it's hinted at to you throughout the games as it finally gets told by Alucard, yes, this castle is alive. It knows your thoughts. It knows your fears. It is a haunted house up to 11. And
Simon's Quest literally says, "Welcome to the Hell House." It's literally the first line in the intro.
Oh, even better is that when you go in farther into Symphony of the Night, you get things like hallucinations of your dead friends against you. There's like zombie Trevor. Well, you're hallucinating. It's not exactly who they are, but the zombies impersonating Trevor, Grant, and Sypha right there in the Colosseum in the inverted castle.
Yeah, and you've got
Event Horizon or The Shining type horror.
Yeah. The Frozen Shade was the only monster they used in season 2. Yeah, basically. And yeah, way to screw that one up. Like a woman was commanding the French army, and the French army had black men in it. Like, what do you mean?
There were some cases like Alexandre Dumas, who was around the time of Napoleon. He was mixed race. I believe one of his parents was Haitian, and he wrote.
Yeah, sure, but the dude wasn't like Boondocks black. Okay, like
right.
It didn't have that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and on the point of continuity, kind of weird how, again, it's like somebody at Netflix happened to hear my video and this complaint of you don't get to use the powers of something you do not believe in, because what happens when Richter and Alucard bring Annette to France? He wants to go in and help her, and then Alucard stops him and says, "No, you can't follow her because you were not raised or believe in her gods." Wow, thanks part 2 for proving me right again.
Right. I mean, even the funny thing in the games is that you can hurt any monster from whatever mythology because they're with Dracula, so they share his weaknesses. Like the cross is one of the most, using the cross against Medusa, it makes the boss fight pretty easy in whatever Castlevania game you're talking about. Because the cross boomerangs through her and back, and it even intercepts her petrification beams.
But they didn't do it. They didn't do it. They couldn't do it, and it's infuriating. And they missed a golden opportunity.
They did. And Juan, like, that's what I liked about Bloodlines. I mean, it was like the lowest selling game, but on Sega Genesis, it goes to various locations. Each stage is a new location in Europe, and you have a different set of monsters at each stage. So for something that was before they went into the PlayStation era for Castlevania, Bloodlines has some interesting themes. New monsters to new locations. So, like, you have Atlantis, you have France, you have Italy. All those different places have their own monsters in Bloodlines.
Mm-hmm. And every one of them could have had their own unique bosses, but they weren't going to animate any of that. Or who do you think animated this? Japan? Not a chance. There's no work ethic behind any of this. You're going to get the same stock, copy paste, maroon, red, gray skinned, slightly hunched over demon with the same face, and they're just going to slap each other off screen because how else are we going to animate this? The only monsters that actually had any unique design were the so-called leaders of the night creatures, and then all but 2 die, and you know exactly which ones are going to live and which ones are going to. Well, actually, the one ginger dude that got killed in the first part died. So
yeah, Braymore. I don't think they had enough understanding of what happened in the previous the previous series of Castlevania Netflix. I don't think they have that much idea of continuity to make that happen.
You're asking an awful lot by questioning whether or not they were gonna spend the time to watch the series that they were continuing. How dare you?
Maria's. Yeah, they may have done that. I mean, they did just because they show it in an order doesn't mean they animated the scenes in that order, because it's often done out of order in the making films.
God, that scene just pissed me off too. Like, it's not just that they burnt down the church and melted the cross and everything else. It's that they got everything so damn wrong. Like, she doesn't summon a full-on dragon, people. She summons a drake. Like, it's small. It's the size of her,
So yeah, Braymore in Bloodlines, there's the Queen of Moth. She pretends to be she takes on the appearance of Marie Antoinette when you're approaching her, and then she turns into a bunch of moths that attack you. At best, it's an Easter egg. I do feel that the previous series had more Easter eggs, even though that doesn't necessarily make it that doesn't make it a plot. You don't build a plot on Easter eggs, but
exactly.
The first one had more by far.
Yeah, the tiny Easter eggs like Maria's 2 different costumes originally from when she was young. It's like, that's a cute little, wink to the audience. Like, hey, look, we also looked on the Wikipedia, right? But everyone losing their minds and being like, oh my God, it's so well done. Clap, clap. No, that's not, that in no way does that forgive the monumental number of mistakes this series had.
Maria's tantrum. Yeah, I mean, even game-wise, Maria's kind of a joke as a character because she gets sweets. Everyone else gets healthier food. I don't know why. Maria gets like ice cream or candy out of the wall. Don't ask me.
She's also an she's a fucking monster in Rondo of Blood. She's so powerful.
Yeah, I mean, the technique you use with her is a quicker, faster rate of attack than with Richter, throwing out birds. But in Symphony of the Night, when you play as her, the bird attacks are very weak per hit, so they balance her a little bit there.
Oh yeah, but I mean, in comparison, you get Maria, and it's like, wow, this is what happens when you have a dash and a double jump. Man, Rondo would be a joke if you gave that to Richter.
Yeah, but as a character, it feels like she isn't really wrong much. Obviously, hardly anyone knows about the radio drama where the guy living with her decides to act protective. I guess you call it White Knight. I don't know.
Alucard, I think it's implied Alucard does like her, but he refuses to be with her because he doesn't want to harm her.
Yeah, I took it that way too. But just like, she's in danger, I'm going to kill this guy. Like, what?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Maria's dresses is like DMC Dante wig, not in a million years. Yeah. And I did finally get around to seeing that like minute and a half teaser trailer. It made me want to become a DMC like lore master. So I was like, this is terrible.
So I'm afraid time is running out. Thank you everyone for stopping by. This is what's coming up next. We're going to talk about Mysteries of Castlevania next time. And later today, I'm going to be playing Curse of Darkness. We'll see how close I get to the end. But I believe I've gotten the secrets, and I'm going to go into the big castle, Dracula's castle. And Albeleo might still have Doom. I don't know. Are you still playing Doom live on Friday?
I will be continuing Doom 2 this Friday. Don't think I'll beat it because a lot of these missions get so much heavier. But I will definitely try. Today, I'm going to try and rush through a smaller video because the Rings of Power is taking forever because I've had to put in extra time at work for different things.
Yeah.
And yeah, sorry if this wasn't as in-depth as any of you wanted it to be, but I am working on the actual video for this little by little. It is progressing. I will let you know when that part 2 of Nocturne video is on its way.
All right. Well, hopefully you got some ideas here.
I did. Thank you.
But everyone, I want to say goodbye. There'll be more live streams in the coming weeks. And as I always say, until we meet again, farewell.
Have a good day, everybody.
So as this volume draws to a close, I want to welcome you and thank you for stopping by to give a little visit to the podcast of Whatever Happened to the Game. And hopefully you enjoyed and had a nice time visiting here this evening on Thursday night. And I hope you have a nice time. In the meantime, there are links to both myself, my own channel, and to Albeleo's channel, who is a guest on these episodes of the series. And I want to wish you a wonderful evening. And you can stop by the channel and related links in the description. Get some Vampires Rule merchandise, or you can just check out some jokes I have every now and then on Instagram. It should be pretty fun. In the meantime, have a wonderful evening, and until we meet again, farewell.